So welcome back to Klepper's Corner, folks, where we're wrapping up what feels less like a presidency and more like a game show where no one ever wins. Let's dive right into Trump's last 7 days, or as historians will surely call it, what the hell week. First, Trump lost Supreme Court case 5-4 to keep billions in foreign aid frozen, proving once again the only thing Trump can reliably freeze are his relationships. Then he paused military aid shipments to Ukraine right after meeting President Zelensky, presumably because Zelensky didn't tell him he'd find dirt on Hunter Biden hiding inside the missiles. But hey, he finally gave his first joint address to Congress, reassuring us tariffs will cause just a little disturbance, like when the Titanic had that little brush with ice. In brighter news, he announced a new office to revitalize American shipbuilding, presumably because he's heard sinking ship too often this term. Oh, and he demanded Congress repeal the Bipartisan CHIPS Act because nothing says America first like making sure our semiconductors are America last. Then he temporarily spared automakers from a new 25% tariff on Canada and Mexico, because apparently even Trump realized hitting Detroit again would be like kicking a puppy that's already on fire. But wait, there's more. He stripped security clearances from Perkins Coie, Hillary Clinton's former law firm, because if there's one threat to national security, it's clearly lawyers who make him angry at dinner parties. He also revoked clearances from Biden-era officials, which must have felt great, until he remembered Jared Kushner still has one. Trump then turned to student loans, disqualifying nonprofit workers who've engaged in improper activities. And no, folks, working for a nonprofit isn't inherently improper. But according to Trump, helping people without charging $500 per ticket clearly is. And speaking of wild claims, Trump called a protesting Columbia student pro-terrorist, declaring this the first of many arrests. So, it's unclear what's scarier, like Trump's crackdown or the idea that he actually thinks students attend college to do anything besides complain. Meanwhile, he fired and then rehired 180 CDC workers, reminding them they're essential personnel unless he decides they're fake news again next week. Trump briefly listed the FBI headquarters for sale, then quickly took it down, probably after realizing Rudy Giuliani was the only bidder. And here's my favorite. He floated the idea of mail carriers conducting the census. Perfect. Now your census form will come bundled with your neighbor's Victoria's Secret catalogs. He even gave Elon Musk's number to Republican senators to beg Musk to undo Dogecoin spending cuts. Because nothing screams fiscal responsibility like begging the guy behind exploding rockets and tweeting anime memes. In economic news, Trump refused to rule out a recession, calling it a period of transition. Yes, transitioning from having money to not having money. And he blamed globalist countries and companies for the NASDAQ's worst day since 2022. Funny how the market panics whenever he opens his mouth. It's like Wall Street knows exactly when the captain has abandoned the helm. And finally, Trump said, and I quote, "Nobody has ever heard of Lesotho. Mr. President, nobody has ever heard of your semiconductors policy either, but at least Lesotho is an actual place." Folks, this is what happens when your president is less concerned with governing and more concerned with seeing how fast he can spin America into oblivion. That's it for this week's Klepper's Corner. Join us next week, assuming we're still here. Good night.